Thank you for staying with us on NTV Lifestyle. Today, Friday, we discuss relationships. Today, we take a different look at a different type of relationship. We always do the man-woman, love and that sort of thing and how to make it stronger. But there's love of a different kind between women. We're friends, most of the times not. We're said to be our own worst enemies. Is this true? Today, we'll discuss that. And we've got someone who's interesting and perhaps threatens a lot of women, and she'll tell us all about that. She's called Tazim Elkington, and she is a paradigm shifter. What is a paradigm shifter, Tazim?
A paradigm is a certain mindset. And so a paradigm shifter is someone that gets you out of a mindset. Does that mean that all mindsets are good or bad, or it depends? It is so individual. So basically, people come to me, talk to me about where they're at and what they need to shift. And we work on shifting those paradigms that don't work for them.
Okay. Excellent that you're here this morning, because then we're going to try and look at that and change some of those paradigms that we have, especially as women. Is it true that women don't get along, cannot get along, will never get along with each other?
I think that's too much of a stereotype and a blanket statement. Women can get along. I have several best friends, but there are also a lot of women I don't like. Because
okay.
Because women have a tendency of pulling each other down. And I don't know if you know about the crab mentality.
Yes.
Yes. So
crabs in a bucket?
Yes.
Yes.
So the female crab will pull another female crab into the boiling water so that they cook together. Whereas the male, while the water's really boiling, right? The male will they'll create a ladder so that whichever crab can jump out and save themselves. Okay. So that, I don't know what the underlying aspects are, but there are many. There are so many that if we actually try to put them together, we'd probably need a whole day to talk about this. But there are many, many reasons why there's more insecurity with women than with men. And this comes about because of, again, many reasons. You look at marketing, advertising, you look at the way we're conditioned to believe that a perfect woman's supposed to look a certain way, be a certain way. We have conditioning from family, we have conditioning from society. We're constantly trying to be someone else. Women are always wanting to be other than who they are. And there isn't an acceptance of, this is who I am, what you see is what you're going to get. It isn't going to, whether you have a nose job or Botox or facelift or whatever it is still you.
Okay. Is that what men have that then makes them get along with each other without having issues and having healthy competition? They accept who they are?
I think men are fortunate enough not to have one nerve in the brain that women have.
Which is?
Which is this whole aspect about how they're seen.
Okay.
How am I viewed? I think men kind of don't worry about it as much. Recently, men are tending to do a little bit more of that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's very healthy. But when you tip the scale completely the other way, that's not helpful. So women have a sense of striving against other women rather than I am who I am and let me be who I am and more of who I am, rather than compete with a dozen women.
Yes.
That competition, it's a negative competition factor. It's not healthy. It's unhealthy. Because we're individual, we're unique. Every single one of us. And if we stop playing those negative games, then we can actually be who we are.
Is there any way we can change that? Or is it just how women are wired, such that they will just never agree with each other or always want to be like, the Jones next door?
Yeah, we
particularly
can't change
Mrs. Jones?
No, we can't change it. We
Okay.
can't change it. It goes back to what I keep saying over and over again. It goes back to individual responsibility. Women really need to start seeing themselves. And a lot of them have started it. It's not that there aren't women out there who really appreciate themselves. There are women who have started that walk, and it's about really rethinking how you see yourself. What is it about your life that's important? How do you want to nurture yourself as well as your relationships? Because the thing is, if you don't have a relationship with yourself, you're not going to have a relationship with another person, a healthy relationship with yourself. And if you're constantly shooting yourself down, you know what I say is, we all have a hidden AK-47. And it comes out and it goes, as soon as someone says something about you that you don't like, you know, you pull it out and it's pop, 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 or you assume, because we're constantly in other people's minds.
Yes.
So we assume somebody's thinking something about us, and that AK comes out and you're shooting yourself. And so we've got to stop doing that. There's no need for it. You know, you aren't going to be what people expect you to be. You are not going to be able to please all of the people all of the time. So if you basically look at your life and look at what you need to do to keep being the person you want to be, then it isn't about anyone else. Input is important, feedback is important. You know, when people give me feedback and say, you know, you could have done this differently, or you could have said this instead, and I would pursue it. I really appreciate feedback because I pursue it in order to understand what it is that makes other people tick. But instead of doing that, what we do is we cut ourselves down. And jealousy is a huge thing.
Yeah, with women.
Yes. Jealous about what? We're all built with the same body structure. Okay. So in the sense, we have all got the same parts.
The same parts, yes.
We're shaped different. We'll look different. We have different features. And imagine if we had a world where
We all look the same.
What's that program I watched? Something in the States and Canada about making all the women look the same.
Okay.
And I don't think the men could see the difference. That was funny.
Okay.
That was funny.
So it would be boring. You talked about society conditioning. Society says that a woman should look this way, or defines her success as one way or the other. Society could be to blame for the fact that women don't support each other?
Here is what we do. We feed into what society expects of us. So the minute you stop trying to feed into what is expected of you, and those images, who's created them? Who's created those images of what we're supposed to be? What is right and what is wrong? It's really, we have our own gauge. So if we try to fit into a gauge that, you know, if you see a billboard and everyone says you're supposed to be, you know, you're supposed to be a certain size,
Skinny.
okay, skinny, or you're supposed to be a certain size,
Yeah.
you're supposed to wear certain clothes and shoes, etc., etc. So let's look at actual factors. I'm not built to be skinny, and I'm so glad I'm not. This is who I am. This is how I am. I can go on a diet of carrots and water for the next 30 days, and I will still be as I am.
Okay.
So I'm good with that. Okay. So if a woman is not built to fit into that model, can you imagine? She's going to suffer for the rest of her life. She's going to need therapy, counseling, because she thinks there's something wrong with her based on the fact that she doesn't fit into somebody else's image. Then you talk about a certain way to dress, etc., etc. If one does not have the income, one does not have the style, who teaches us about style? Who teaches us about fashion? All we're doing is emulating and copying anything we can find that looks like something on a billboard, on a magazine cover, etc., etc. And we bulge it up pretty badly sometimes. Yeah. So we don't have direction on these things, yet we're constantly trying to fit into something. You know, your hair's got to be a certain way. Your makeup's got to be a certain way. And now the heels, you know, talk about the heels. If they're not a certain height.
Yes.
I spoke to a couple of guys the other day. I said, so what do heels do for you guys?
Yes.
You know, because I love to get the men's opinions. And they say, I said, what do you get from the women when you talk about heels? And say, women feel really good because they think they're sexy and they're going to get more attention. I said, yeah, but what do you guys think? sometimes it looks really horrendous because the women are tilted over like
I
this.
know, I know. That's one of my greatest dilemmas. Heels.
I can't do that. I'm
Is
really
just
good.
a huge problem for me. Self-esteem, perhaps, building this, getting this inner radar in yourself and saying, as a woman, this is me, and when can that begin? I'm trying to pinpoint the cause, and is it our parents? Is it some of the ideas that they put in our head that a woman should look like this, and if you don't look like this, then the next woman who does look like that will get the right job, the right man, and the children, and the perfect life?
It starts from the time you're little. You look at the newspapers today, they're talking about children's, what's it called, design, and the way children are supposed to dress. So they're already starting to put a mold. And this starts when you're young. There's conditioning from parents, there's conditioning from society, there's conditioning from school, peers, there's conditioning from what we read, from what we see, TV. There's all types of conditioning. It's not restricted.
Okay.
And all this gives an individual a picture of what they are expected to look like or behave like, or the attitude they're supposed to have. So there's many, many layers that start from the time we're very young, that build up. And if you ask a woman, why are you the way you are, they won't be able to answer you.
Because there's so much influence from everywhere. There's the story about women getting together in groups and chamas, and and that happens everywhere. And most men will tell you they don't like that, because every time women are together, all they do is, oh, my husband does this, does yours do this? And then everybody just leaves there thinking, oh, she is doing so well. What do women talk about when they get together? Just give us a sense. What are they saying? What are some of the topics that are likely to be on the table for discussion when women get together, when you and your girlfriends get together?
It's an interesting question, because I don't get together with with women. I don't, because I'm not into any groupie thing where we sit down and we discuss stuff. No, I'm not into that. I left that long time ago. And the reason is because I will not be in any environment where I'm not talking about something substantive, something meaningful. Okay, so
most women who get together,
yes, a lot of
don't
women
have meaningful discussions.
No, they're either trashing their men, or they have meaningful discussions when they're looking at progress and what they want to do about certain projects that they have. Or I wouldn't say that they don't have progressive discussions, but when they get together to moan or to complain, when they have those tea parties or whatever, that's a different scenario from what I gather. And that if they're getting together as friends to talk about their relationships, they're going to trash people. They're going to trash. It's not healthy discussions. I think it would be healthier to sit down and say, you know what, this isn't working. What can we do? What do you think? How do you think we can do something to make these things work? Because the issues are all the same. The issues are not different. It's not like, I always say, the emotions are the same. The issues in relationships, there are a dozen aspects that are the same that are happening in most of the relationships. Communication breakdown, lack of trust,
yes,
lack of respect, lack of time spent together, lack of building a life where you're doing some things together, okay? Creating an environment that is healthy in that relationship. Discussing aspects that are going to work for both of you, yeah? These are things that don't happen. So relationships break down, firstly, because of communication. And women, as soon as, they feel that the man is not paying enough attention, go into this, oh, he doesn't love me anymore, he doesn't care, he's got someone else, blah, 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 and the rest of it. And we do have a situation here where that is happening. So there's a lot of insecurity. But I think part of that insecurity